start out on this journey, everywhere we look a different sign, telling us where we will go. Feel the sunlight shining in your eyes, and the wind that's blowing through me.
Do I love that song?
Every time we hear that song,
Oh.
we just melt away. That is Jessie Campo. She is a master at what she does. She sings all over the internet,
All over the
all
world.
over the world.
She does, and she's in movies, on the red
She's-
carpet. She's a wonderful, wonderful person.
So she composed that song just for us.
Yes. So what I'm going to do, like every week, no, every 2 weeks, I read something to
Yes.
start. And this time I'm changing it up. It's called Sunrise. I can start to sing sunrise,
Rise,
sunset.
sunset.
And it's, I don't know if you
way.
will see it.
Wait,
No,
sorry.
this-
Yeah.
Okay. So I just picked it out and I just thought it's so nice. It says, sunrise really speak to me. They say, hey, buddy, look at this day I'm giving you. Don't screw it up. Work hard, play nice, trust your heart, be brave, but don't be stupid. Share your mercy and your smile. The rest, then rest and eat with those you love, and I'll bring you more sunshine in the morning.
Yeah. And then this is just the illustration, kind of like what we have in the background there.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
See that? The sunrise? I mean, the
Okay,
sunset.
it's not-
Okay. Anyway.
You're getting
We could
really
go a
into
little
it.
crazy. All right. Well, we are so excited. As we said before, we're the mother-daughter dynamic duo. We are relationship coaches. We are experts in fixing your relationships. We've been through it all.
Oh, God, have we ever?
And we are excited to continue the journey with all those out there and support those people that are coming onto the show to share their journey.
No question about it.
Right.
And we're so honored to have such an incredible lady. And we are going to introduce her right now, Andrea Luzon. I'm not sure I'm saying it correctly, your last name.
Luzon.
Luzon?
Luzon. You're on mute.
Luzon. I'm Andrea Luzon.
Luzon.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
that's so nice. I like your background
Yeah,
too.
it's
very
pretty.
pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. It's actually just a wall hanging.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes,
That's
and
great.
I really love it. It just reminds me that we're, in a way, we're just specks of dust, and in the other essence, like we are the universe. Like we're made of stardust.
I
We
love
are.
it. That is so beautiful.
That
It's
we
true.
are. Yeah, it is true.
So we're so happy to have
Yeah.
you.
And now we met you through,
I think
Was
it was
it-
BYBT, right?
I
was
think
it that?
it's, was
Yeah.
it through that?
Yeah, becoming the best you. BTBY. Yes.
BTBY.
Right.
Yeah.
The BT, the Y's and the B's.
Yeah.
It gets confusing sometimes. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. And they're having something coming up the end of August
Yes,
that
they
looks
are.
like it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Will you
I
be
actually
going?
speak at that event. It's the Becoming the Best You BTBY conference coming up August 25th, 26th, 27th. And I am going to be, I have the lovely honor of speaking during lunch hour, which is always,
Oh, that's
if you've ever
good.
been a speaker who talks during anyone's meal, you know, it's a little more challenging. So
Yeah.
It reminds me
Yeah.
of somebody that's in a nightclub and singing and they're eating.
Right.
It's the same thing.
yes. So I have some trepidation about it, but in the same instance, like, the person who's meant to hear my message is the person who's going to hear it. And
So
the other
good.
people who are not listening, it
It's
wasn't
true.
for them. So it's
Well,
okay.
what you can do.
It's
what
so
you-
true. You could
what
do
you could
something
do.
funny to bring them in. You know what I mean? Like say something totally
Yeah.
off the chain.
Okay,
You know
raise
what I
your
mean?
hands and
Raise your hands if you can
repeat
hear
after me. Tell me what I just said.
I do have some tricks up my sleeve that
I
might
bet
help.
you
So
Yes, mother.
we wanted to ask you just to get to know you, but give us a little bit of a
About you.
background
Yeah,
about
about you.
Oh boy. Wow. I get to be better at clouds. Felt a little okay. Again, Andrea Luzon. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. When I was younger, I felt like I was kind of being controlled. Parents, school, don't be too loud. Don't be weird. Don't be dancing in the middle of class, that kind of thing. And then so excited to get out on my own. Finished university pretty quickly, was finding myself through university. And then I became a backpacker for a while, almost a year. Got
Wow.
trained in to teach English as a foreign language and moved to Japan.
Wow.
Yes, and that was still part of my like, ooh, I can follow the signs. I can follow my own bliss, not what everyone's telling me to do. Lived around the United States all through my 20s, and I was abroad during my 20s, and kind of I don't know, just kind of felt like I got to follow the inklings and go wherever, which just felt really adventurous. I love adventure. Then I came back to the Midwest. So I came back to the United States. I came back to the Midwest. I'm from Minnesota, and I moved to Kansas City. And
Wow.
I initially I fell into a really great job. I ended up buying a house in one of the coolest places in the world in town. It's the Plaza of Kansas City. If you've ever been to Kansas City,
No.
house on the Plaza. Yes, will you have to come? The challenge with that is I bought a little too much house, which got the fear engine started cranking up. And that started bringing back my parents' programming of like scarcity, money's finite, rich people are bad. And then I met a man that is now my husband, and we have children and a lovely family. But my experience of him was women should be like this, and marriage should look like this. And you're a little too loud, and you're a little too flamboyant, and you're blah, 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 blah. You're too spiritual. No, I will say he didn't ever say you should da, 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 da. I heard him speaking very minute statements and somehow decided that I should be all of those things that he muttered about. And like just seriously sparingly. Like he's not a judgy person, but I think that so much of being shoved in a box during my childhood and being trained to people please really just so the engine of like paying for the house, like responsibility, marriage, child rearing, then a few years later, child rearing on top of it, career. And anyway, all of that led to a giant breakdown, crying on the floor for a week, scaring my kids, scaring my husband, feeling completely lost. What have I been doing? I'd had a corporate job for about 7 years at that point. Didn't pay all that great, but it felt like it was what I was supposed to do. It had great insurance, great benefits.
Yep.
So called a friend, and she years prior, 5, 6, 7 years prior, she had studied spiritual psychology. And that is what had turned her life around. So like we don't realize it, but the psychology was the word psyche actually way back when meant soul. And ology was like to know, to study. To study the soul is really the origin meaning of psychology. It was never supposed to be about medicine and just your brain. It was supposed to be about you reclaiming who you are. So ever since that moment 5 years ago, then I have been on this journey to stand for other women who are feeling lost around their identity, around their self-empowerment, and supporting them in coming home to who they really are. Because so many of us got lost in childhood, in career, in romantic partnership, which I know you two really are helping with relationships. And then lastly, child rearing. I really feel like those are the 4 kind of places where our authenticity just goes to die.
Yes.
And I want to help people revive and come alive again and feel just really juicy about their life and like, ooh, this is exciting.
Yeah,
because I lost that.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get lost in that.
Yes. I mean, really, our biology. All of our biologies is to play a certain role, to show up. And I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I feel like our society has really the Western culture has really turned like women should be like this. And you know, it's kind of like it's in our old DNA, you know, from when we
Yes,
were
old paradigm.
hunters. Yeah, hunters gatherers. It's old, and yet it's perpetuated.
Yes. Amen.
That
It
is
has
true.
perpetuated. That's why
That's
there are
true.
people like you and
That's
us
true.
that could shift
The
that old paradigm, right?
Yes, and you know what really supported me in bonding with the two of you, how much you have talked about the shadow, our shadow, and how there is light in our shadow. And I think people really misinterpret what shadow means. But I love Debbie Ford's work. And I heard you two do a podcast just a few weeks ago, and you were both so vulnerable about the shadows in your past and the things that you've overcome that I was like, okay, maybe the BTBY, maybe the BTBY folks are really hitting the nail on the head with this mother and daughter duo. I'm gonna reach out again and let's see if we can chat.
That's
So-
awesome. Yeah.
And it's so great.
And it is, because that's, you know, it's amazing how the universe works when vibrationally you are in alignment with people in like-mindedness. It's just like a moth to a flame. You don't do anything, it's all of a sudden it's just
Bingo.
It's
Yeah.
like right there.
Yeah.
You know?
And that
Yes.
we connected with you because obviously
Right
there
away.
was something.
And even when
yeah.
we talked the first time we spoke,
Yeah.
it was like so easy, and it was so like we knew you.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get off the phone.
Right, exactly.
That's usually a sign.
That
Feel
is
like
true.
I just can't hang up.
No, it is true.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Molly.
No, I was going to ask, so how old are your children?
I have twins, boy-girl twins that are 9.5
Wow.
right now. Like July is the halfway mark. So,
Wow. 9.5.
December
That
baby.
must be interesting. Twins, boy,
yes.
boy and girl.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a psychological experiment or something.
Well, it really could be by using the knowledge
It's
you
true.
have that they won't
Excuse
have.
me.
They'll have other things, but you know, you have things from your past that you've worked through. So, you know, the road is going to be different
And easier.
and yeah, much easier
Yes.
for them because you have skills and tools,
Yes.
which you
Well-
didn't have when you were growing up.
Yeah, it's like, you know, with my mom and I, just having the learning disability growing up, I had strong teachers. I was tested. My mom didn't have that. So I've had to help her and show her different things to support her, you know, to make her life a little bit easier. Now, it's not always easy.
No, especially when it comes to technology.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So you work with what you got.
Yeah. And then you ask for help.
That's right.
So, yeah.
All right. So go ask Miss
Oh.
Andrea.
One of the questions is, what's your biggest lesson that you learned about yourself?
Wow. What's coming to the forefront in this moment is it's okay to make mistakes.
Mm.
We're having that situation with our daughter right now. This week they are at a camp and she is taking an improv class. So improvisational comedy, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. And so talk about getting out on the skinny branches and taking really big risks.
Huge.
When as a girl, she is so used to, I'm sorry, it's the girl twin.
Yeah.
When she's already been kind of falling into that paradigm of like, does everybody like me? Is everybody happy? Am I pleasing everybody? Whereas improv is like, go for it, shoot from the hip, make mistakes, say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And so she came home crying on day one and was
bet.
like, I don't want to go back. That was like so hard. I didn't have any friends. Like, yeah, this is a growth. This is a growth edge. This is scary. I think anyone would be trepidatious.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
God,
Improv class.
100%. It's something so not familiar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. And yet our lives are like mirrors, you know? And so I'm witnessing her in her tears and her upset and her feeling separate, feeling othered, feeling judged, feeling like an outsider. And I'm like, well, where do I not let myself make mistakes? Where does she hear me judging myself? Am I judging myself out loud and teaching her that she's got to make people happy and that she's got to put herself last? Don't take risks. Keep your voice down. Play small. Like, ugh. So yes, I think what's coming to the forefront right now is we
Isn't
get
that
to,
amazing? The reflection.
Yes.
I mean, how divine is that?
yes, it's so perfect. Like you said, it's so perfect.
God, it's so perfect. Oh man. She takes a class so you get to look at your
Yeah.
stuff too, right?
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah. And that's the thing with parenting. I'm sure Rochelle can
Yep.
agree that it's like as she watches you go through your stuff, she's like, oh, if she's open. So that's the challenge with parents. And that's why I love working with families, especially families of a neurodivergent diagnosed child. I know we haven't really gotten to that part,
No.
but when, if the parent is truly open, it's
Yes.
really like, is the parent willing to look at our own stuff, because we are programming our children all the time, all the time.
All
So
the
like,
time.
can we look at the child's challenge and go, okay, how might I be adding to that?
You know,
And we do. We
yeah.
really do.
And the truth is, I think that's why shadow work is so powerful, because if she gets her shadow, right, from her childhood, let's say she felt not good enough, and I'm coming up with and I'm in childhood and I'm coming up with I'm not good enough. Has she handled her not good enough so she could be there for me? Do you see what I'm saying? It's this dance because it's projection, unless you
Absolutely.
own it, it's going to own you. And then you transfer it onto your kids.
Absolutely. It's so true.
And the dance
And,
begins.
and they say that kids, I mean, they say
Right.
that kids are programmed by 8.5. And
Mhm.
so for me, sometimes I can go into that self-doubt and judgment inner critic and be like, oh, great. So great. They're programmed now. Awesome. And so if I can stay open on my own healing journey, healing my shadowy parts, my self-judgment, my wounds, my childhood wounds,
Mhm.
if I
Yep.
can be available to them as I'm going through my inner work, in my healing, can I unprogram some of those places that I had a lot of effect in creating?
So how did you handle it with her when she came home crying?
Right. Well, we reminded her that last year on day 1, she cried as well. And that by day 5, because it's a week-long camp, by day 5, she was like in her joy and she made like best friends, and, she took risks and the risks felt more comfortable for her. So I reminded her like, hey, you felt the same way last year. I would be scared on day number 1 too. Your feelings are 100% valid, totally valid. And tomorrow's a new day. Like if you think about last year, by the end of the week, you were in a happy place. So let's not give up.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I used to work with teenagers, and the reason I stopped doing that is because of that reason. The parents were not willing to look at themselves, to change the story of what they saw their child. It's them, it's them, it's them. It was never the parent. And so after a while, it was just too hard, because the kid would change, but the parent wouldn't see the change because they would stay back into the
that
old story, because that's where they were looking. They never changed the lens.
Yeah. It's our old story. It's
Yep.
our old stories. It's like we bring the past pain typically, not usually success, because our brains are looking for the negative.
Yeah.
And then we paste the pain, old pain, not even happening, not even real right now, but we paste it all over the current situation.
Yeah.
And you're right. We can't see anything but, oh my God, that person's hurting me right now. Or, oh my gosh, I'm being judged. I'm being othered. I'm being abandoned. I'm being
And
cast
we're
out.
convinced. We're really convinced it's that's really happening.
Right.
And in your mind, in your wound, it is. It is
That's
happening
true.
in your wound.
Yes, it's very real from that perspective, from that wounded child perspective. It's like very real. One teaching tool I love that we're talking about right now is when we are in blame, when we're like, that's the problem. There are 3 fingers pointing back at you.
Yep.
Like, look at me, look at my own stuff, look at my own stuff, look at my own stuff.
Yep.
It's not over there.
Oh yeah. It's so true.
And I think people have a very hard time with that because they don't want to take the responsibility. They want to project it onto you. It's your fault. It's your thing. It's not me.
And it's just like and that's the way the world is operating. That
Right.
is the way a lot of the world sees things.
Yes.
But if you do your own work, right? You do your own work and you share and you continue to do and
Yep.
share what you're doing and making a difference and helping.
Yes.
God willing, one
Yeah.
soul at a time will make the shift to bringing more light, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Is
and
it-
as
ahead.
coaches, we get to be, because I do find that we get to be careful, because I believe in responsibility 100% of the time. I will train you to have clearing conversations with people that are triggering you. I will train you to set boundaries, all of that. And responsibility here with yourself before stepping into a clearing conversation, before stepping into a boundary conversation, that has to happen.
Yeah.
And yet there are some individuals that have experienced so much trauma that they
Yes.
slip straight way back into like victim state. Like they like can start to be re-victimized sometimes through, once the word responsibility comes to the surface,
Yeah.
it's sometimes we get to put that step at the stage that our clients are ready.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you always go where they are.
do you
Right.
find it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to also say we have also just to
Carol
highlight, we have
Wilkinson. Hey, honey.
Luana and Carol. Hi. Just wanted to say hi.
Do you find it different with a girl and a boy as far as teaching them or being more receptive or things like
That's a
that?
good
Do you find it
question.
kind
Yeah.
of challenging with one more than the other?
Yes. Well, especially since, like, so my daughter, I can explain what's happening, how I'm feeling, why we're doing a thing that we're doing. Maybe we got to leave the house and run an errand, and she'll kind of like get it. She'll resist a little bit, and then she'll be like, "Okay, cool. So we gotta go. We're gonna go." Whereas my son, who also has been diagnosed with ADHD, he will just dig in further. It's almost like you can see the mud around his feet, and he's digging his heels way in.
Wow.
And so relating to him, sometimes like there's just a huge wall, and he's like, I don't care that you got to run errands. And it can feel, it's really, so that's where, with my inner child wounds, where sometimes I can interpret it as being about me.
Yes.
Like I start to take it personally. I can think I'm being abandoned. He's othering me. He's disrespecting me. And I can really I can feel my body reacting in the defense mechanisms are kicking into gear. And so it's pretty challenging to like pull out a tool from my parenting toolbox, my relationship toolbox, and be like, can I relate to you right now? Okay, that's not working. Okay, can I crack a joke? And will that get you? Nope, that's not working. Can I get down at eye level and ask you, how are you really feeling? What is this really about? Nope, just spit in my face. That tool's not working. So it's like they say, coach what you need to know.
Yeah.
Because you will be so dedicated to that topic. You will turn it inside, outside, upside down. You will watch every video, read every book, interview the professionals, learn from the professionals, study under the professionals like you did with Debbie Ford.
Yes.
And so I find that supporting families that are neurodiversity affirming, someone in the family identifies as one of these diagnoses: ODD, SPD, ADHD, ADD, maybe even bipolar or borderline personality disorder, autism spectrum. And you've noticed that you're reactive. You've noticed reactivity in yourself, and you're not excited. You don't want to be reactive.
Right.
That's who I'm. Come and see me.
Yeah.
Let's get under the hood and like let you be responsible in the relationship and no longer reactive.
Yeah. And I just want to say one thing, and that takes a lot of self-reflection. I mean, it takes a lot of self-reflection. Like, okay, am I ready for this? Really?
Yeah.
So
and it's like the treasure box that just keeps giving.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
What I was going to say is, it's so interesting because they didn't have anything like this to be tested when I was growing up.
Yes.
There was absolutely nothing. So if you were put in a class that, quote, you thought wasn't like your friends, So I interpreted that I was stupid and there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And there was nobody there to say, oh, I know you're having a hard time. You know what?
Right.
I used to kiss ass with teachers. I brown nose to pass because
That was very resourceful, by the way.
yeah, but I didn't have any tools. That was my tool, let's say,
Yeah.
Right.
was that.
But but if you think about kids and how that's so resourceful, like how can I get through this in a way where I'm gonna pass? I'll people
Yeah.
please. I'll brown nose. Okay.
I'll do whatever I
And you
have
know
to.
what? It got you what you needed.
Yeah.
The time. And I think that's the other thing I think that's so important is not making yourself wrong. I mean,
Right.
I remember going through all of the work and continuously, and even today, it's like you have to catch yourself, not making yourself wrong. Because the more you make yourself wrong, the more you go back into that old program.
Yes.
And you got to catch yourself.
Yes. When you two, in your latest interview, one of you said, we got to stop judging our shadow. We get to, I don't want to say got to, we get to, there's an invitation, there's an opportunity for us to stop judging our shadow, and there's light in it.
Yes.
There's opportunity, there's learning. And that's when I was like, I think that was the clincher. That was like the one line that I was like, okay, they do get it. They do get it. They're not just talking out both sides of their mouths and like not getting it. You get it.
Yeah.
You know,
well, because we've had to walk
right,
through it.
Right.
I mean,
The
literally
trenches.
trenches.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't, I want to say now, looking at it through the lens of the pain and the wound, thank God I found out my wounds and where they came from and where they started so that I could start to unravel them to heal them so they
Yes.
don't keep coming. And when they do, guess what? You keep going to the light. See what's the gift of it.
And you know what? I also think it always seems to come up. I was on a call today, and it was for a few ladies, and it was a coffee talk. And this one girl that was doing the presentation happened to have been a teacher. And she put this whole thing together, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, of course she does. Look at her. She's a teacher. And for that split second, I could have gone down because I had this thought, oh my God, she's really doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
And what about what I do? And then I went, oh God, no. No.
Making yourself wrong. I tell you.
And I don't have to be like her. I don't have to be perfect. I'm perfect for myself.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That supports me. Thank you. Did you know that August is anti-bullying month?
No.
Wow.
Great.
Let's shed a little bit of the bullying that's going on in the world. And what I'd like to say about that is that on the first Monday of every month, I host a meditation, and it involves body movement and some closed eye experience, music, journaling. Love it. And I've slowly been like really gravitating towards like, what is the season or what is the message that's really coming in that I'd like to share with people. And like it's like an experience that I take you through. So this month, I really am wanting to unpack with people, what about the self-bully?
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we, is there a protector inside of us, that's protecting those wounds, but is that one also like a bit of a bully? Like you didn't do it right again. Oh,
Yes.
you're not
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I love it.
Yeah.
The
I love
inner
what you
bully.
do.
Your inner bully.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So good. Yes.
Even when you are in a situation where you are verbally
and then
abused,
go ahead. But then you
then
create that
you become
in the
your own
outer world.
abuser.
And then this is the real important part, I think, of that is that if you're continuously bullying yourself, you will unconsciously have that mirrored back to you in your outer world. That's the thing around shadow, right?
Yes, absolutely. And then if you're really not doing the work, then you're going to say that person's the problem.
Of course. And then you'll just keep creating bullies, more bullies. And I want to be sensitive to, the bullying conversation because it is a real deal. And when you're a kid, you don't have these skills and tools, right? You don't know. So that's where we would come in to help, right? You would come in to share about what the bully, how the chat, right? I mean,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I want to be sensitive to that, because there are
Yes.
kids out there that don't have I didn't have it, right? Until I learned shadow work. Then I began to understand it.
Yeah.
So just know that there's support out there is the point for the
Right.
people who are
And
struggling.
yes, and there are people experiencing real physical, mental, emotional,
Yes.
spiritual abuse, and that's so that is a bigger conversation, a deeper
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
And
I
so
just,
and sometimes I do talk about how the ideal client for me, the person I can really support, is already shifting. They've gotten to survival mode, and now they're heading towards more of thriving. So if
yes.
you're not yet at survival, like if you're just barely keeping things together, then I can recommend some people that can support you, some
Right.
groups, some therapies, some deeper pre-work. And then when you're feeling like your feet are underneath you and you're wanting to go deeper and live an even bigger and beyond life than that, that's kind of, so I'm really, that's something to delineate. Yeah. So if you're
Yeah.
stuck in an abusive
100%.
situation, that's a certain person that can help you,
Yeah.
a certain agency that can
And we
help
do
you.
that too. You
Yeah.
know, if it's more of a therapeutic,
Therapeutic.
we have coaches that are, therapists
Mhm.
that are trained in that particular
Yeah.
addiction or whatever,
Yes.
So tons of support.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's amazing what you're doing out there in the world,
Yeah, it
and
is.
how you're uncovering all of yourself and sharing what
And
you're
being
up to.
vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
Thank
You know,
you.
It-
A
it's
journey.
and people are attracted to that. When you come in and you're so open and vulnerable, it like brings other people in. And when you share some of your own stuff, they feel, wow, I can relate to her. They lean in and go, wow, if she can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think
Yes.
that's what
Thank
the message is for all of us,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if we're here, it's because we're here because we understand. We've
Yeah.
been through and continuously go through our own journey to help.
I have a question. What advice would you give to your youngest self?
Since we're talking young here.
Yeah.
Wow. Believe in yourself. Like the answers are within you, Andrea. The answers are within you.
Yeah.
You can trust yourself.
It's
And
a big
that's
one.
huge.
It's huge.
It's so big.
Oh my God.
I
How many
mean,
times did you not trust yourself,
Yeah.
right? And then you
Well, that's why my 20s were such a gift. The backpacking, the working
God.
abroad, like just like walking into a cafe and say, "Hey, do you need a server?" And just like and getting hired like instantly. So and
that.
that's just real. That's like a superpower, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it
No, it
is.
is. It's
It
a
really
trusting
is.
the pathway.
Yeah, and so looking back on that time, so like before that time, and then
Right.
the kind of that dark night of the soul in my early 30s, but I always have those years of the backpack on my shoulder, traveling alone, getting employment alone, deciding which train to get on, and just being on a train alone, booking hotels, like all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
that is kind of like my the lighthouse. So the
Yeah.
lighthouse of like following my intuition, listening for the inner guidance, like the inner compass that's telling you north, south, east, west. So my youngest self, I'd be like, believe in yourself, trust yourself, you have the answers. And then so in my 30s, at least I had that time to look back
Yes.
at, wow, look how
Yeah.
strong I was, look how independent, look how self-trusting. Like I trusted myself 100%.
Yeah.
That was a strong foundation
Yeah.
that you created for yourself, that you could go back and go, wow, look at what I did. And it just helps you
Yeah.
to know that you can still do it. Not a problem, because
Well,
you've
and
done it before.
right, and you have the evidence to prove you
Right.
have. It's always that
Yeah.
finding the
The
evidence.
evidence.
Once you see it and once you've experienced it and feel it, you can go back and go, wait, I can do this. That's right. I can do this.
Yeah.
Right? So that's beautifully said.
So
What
the
else,
other
Foch?
question is, if you were able to change the world as it is today, what changes would you make and why?
Mm. I really think it would be around joy.
Mm.
It would really be like, almost as if I could like blow the pilot light like bigger inside of every person.
Awesome. I love that image.
That's a great visual.
That's a great image. I can feel it now.
That's great.
Spark would just get like, whoo, like just, yeah, to have everyone just kind of light up a little bit more. I love to talk about passion, purpose, and power, because
Yeah.
when you can really claim your, like, find your passion, that's more like, what am I passionate about? What brings me joy? What do I love? And
Yeah.
then your purpose oftentimes will coincide in some way. And then all of a sudden you feel more powerful about who you are because you're combining the first two. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I love this stuff. Let me tell you about it. You seem interested. So you
It's
get like
true.
your fire just gets really stoked, and you have
Love
more
it.
energy to go out into the world courageously.
Yeah, I love it. It's like the inner flame, your
Yeah.
inner flame.
We used to
Right.
do that.
Yeah,
That
we
inner
did.
flame.
The inner flame. Where's your
Wow.
inner flame right now?
Yeah,
From
what
scale
number?
of 1 to 10,
Yeah.
and just checking in with it. It's
see.
yeah, that's amazing.
So, how can
This
you
is the last question
define
for you.
a
Yeah.
well-lived life?
Whew. I don't want to say you have no regrets, because I think that there's always going to be some things that you're not exactly proud of from your past, or like some darkness. I really don't think that life was meant to be just a smooth sailing thing. We're meant to have the contrast. We're meant to have the bumps. So I'm not going to say that you get to the end and you have like zero regrets, but I will say that a well-lived life is when you get towards the end, whenever that is, but you look back. They say that your life flashes before your eyes. And I want to say that you look back, and this is actually part of what led to the breakdown, because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be so mad at myself towards the end. What am I doing? And then it's like, my soul just hit me between the eyes with a 2x4, wiped me out. And so thankfully my soul did that so that I can look back and say, wow, look how I stepped into my power. Wow, look how I took risks. Look how I believed in certain things. And even when people shamed me or disagreed with me or told me I was full of doo-doo, I stood up and I said, hey, this is what I believe. And these are the people that I think you're not being very cool to. And so let's work through this. So yeah, I want to have the kind of life where I think a well-lived life is looking back and saying, I stood in my truth. And I didn't back down from that truth. Like I found myself and I stood in my truth.
I love that.
That's so powerful. It's interesting hearing you, because if I ask that question to myself, I have no regrets.
That's awesome.
None.
How
So
exciting.
when you get to my age, you'll have that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Really, because everything was in divine order, no matter what it is.
Well, and
it was another lesson that I needed to learn.
But I also think you've cleaned up
Oh, honey, have I swept away?
your past.
Yeah,
Cleaned it
Yeah.
up so that you don't have any
Yeah.
regrets.
I don't.
And that's why I think that even, especially a mother-daughter relationship, you have a daughter, you have
Yeah.
a son, but I think even with a mother-daughter relationship, it's so important to clean that up. If there's things that are not clean in it, unsaid, things that you're holding back, clean it up. If you can't do it with the person, then just write a letter to yourself, to the
Right.
person. Hey, mom, I've never told you that I did blah, 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 just to get it out. Because I think when you get it out, you clean it out.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Everyone thinks that you need to have a reckoning like with the person.
No, you
Like,
don't.
No.
Because some people
Really,
some people will pass. And
Yep.
then what? What are you going to do then?
yeah.
Carry it with you?
Yeah, it's so important to really clean it up for yourself,
Yeah.
so you can be at peace,
Yes.
I
agree.
So that's really important.
I love
think.
the write and burn. Like when you
Yeah.
feel
Yes.
you need to clear something with someone, just tear out a sheet of paper or 2 or 10, write out that whatever, and then shred it, get it out of your house, or burn it. Find a safe way to burn it.
Yeah, I had this person at one point in my world, and this person was super toxic. And I had to get a lot of lessons through that relationship that I worked with this person at the time, and she was showing me the same lesson over and over, and I'm like, oh, I felt like I was getting like, smacked with waves, and I had to get whatever she was showing me once again. And the minute I got more and more, and I uncovered more and more and went there, at the end of that relationship, I wrote a, what was it, an anger letter? Or a completion letter. I wrote a completion letter. Like I was speaking to her, but I didn't. I wrote it. Like, so-and-so, I feel, whatever I didn't complete with this person, I completed on paper. I wrote it out. I ripped it up. I burned it and threw it down the toilet or wherever I did with it. And I kid you not, 3 days later, deleted me, blocked me. That was it.
Wow.
That's how powerful.
That's how powerful
energy.
the energetic cord is.
Yep. And that's why they say never write those letters on your computer.
That's right. That's true.
If you want to keep that computer.
Paper, just the old-fashioned way, and then rip it up and burn it.
Digitally cutting something. Anyway, that not to be too out there.
That's
right. Don't write those things on your computer. Even
write them on paper.
Put it on paper
and burn it. Yes, and I'll tell you, that's how powerful
we
we
are
when we're complete.
So powerful.
When we're complete, they go bye-bye.
That's what
See
happens.
you later. And you don't have to even speak to the person. It just happened. I said to my mom, this is freaking awesome. I love this shit. Like it inspired me more and more, to really just complete.
So
we have had so much fun with you.
God, the information you have is just so helpful to so many parents that need this so badly.
And we have the information going,
it's going
through, going across. But if there's any other things that are coming up and you want to share right now, go right ahead.
Yeah, I would love to just send everyone to my website, which is Andrea Luzon, Andrea Luzon. And usually right up on top, there will be a button to click, and you can get, right now, there's a really powerful video series that I will gift to you. When you sign up for it, you will get one email each day for 10 days. And it has like a 1-minute video attached, maybe 5 minutes. And it'll take you through a little experience to move beyond your old story and up level to your greatness. And it's about exactly what we've been talking about. It's about having ways to shed and to open up and release those places that you might be unaware that you've been kind of defending and trying to keep away from everybody else, just to let it go. So it's little steps to do that.
That sounds awesome.
Great. That really is great.
And I'm sure they will be excited to get to your website, click and get those 10 days so they can be
super
happy and joyful.
And it was really fun to record too.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Well, we're so happy that we
are
connected with you. I know this is not the end. This is just the beginning.
Is the beginning.
And
I wish you were coming to Kansas City at the end of August, though.
I know.
Kind of fun to see you. But I have a feeling that we get to coordinate something.
Yeah, I do too. I know. I was thinking. I know my mom and I were thinking that too. As you were speaking, it was coming to us too. So we'll have another conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll do a Zoom together, and we'll collaborate there too.
And we thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you for being here with us, for sharing your light and your love,
your wisdom.
Aww. I love that.
That's so sweet.
From one of my leadership trainings, I just love it because due to the pandemic that we experienced, this was just a fun. So much happened on Zoom.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. It's brilliant.
That's great.
So we thank you. We are sending you tons of love. And anything else you want to share with the people out there?
I've really enjoyed being here, and I totally just believe in what you're creating, and it's been an honor.
Aw, well, we thank you. It's been an honor.
It's reciprocal. It really is. So thank you so much.
And the mother and daughter dynamic duo, we are here to support you all with relationships with your mother or your daughter.
Absolutely.
That's right. Starts there. So with all that being said, thank you,
Thank you,
Andrea,
sweetheart. Appreciate it.
and we'll see you in 2
Yep.
weeks. Bye for now. Bye.